Hey Sam,
Morning.
what does it mean to lead the team in such a big game against an opposition which we all know plays so well at home?
Yeah, it's always a massive honour to play for the All Blacks, but when asked to lead the team out first, it just has that little bit of extra uniqueness around it. And I think this week it's a massive week. If you look back over the history over the last 5 or 6 times we've played, but also over the last 7 or 8, 9, 10 years, it's definitely going to be a massive test match. There's some really big games and big occasions, and momentum can swing from time to time in those games. And I'm just looking forward to hopefully getting out there and having a good personal game first, and then hopefully I can help the team out that way.
You touched on uniqueness. What is unique about playing against the Irish?
Yeah, there's a few things that are pretty unique at the moment. Obviously, COVID's the big one, elephant in the room. Our whole preparation's different to what it has been in the past, different games, but playing here is awesome. There's always the Kiwis that come out of the woodwork, whether they've travelled from other countries here to watch the game or they're over here living, and it's an amazing atmosphere. It's really hard to describe unless you're actually here. One thing I know that really shocked me the first time I played here in Dublin was when there's a shot at goal, all the crowd is silent, and there's normally the one drunk Kiwi in the stand that's yelling something out, and the whole crowd will actually shush them. So something like that is something that we never get to experience at home, but here it is one of those cool things, and that's what makes playing here very unique.
Can I just squeeze in one more quickly? How much does the team have left in the tank? Seriously, Sam.
No, the team's been great. I know for myself, I came back in after being at home for family reasons, obviously, but I'm feeling great, and it's nice seeing the energy of the boys. We obviously had Aaron Smith come back in a couple of days ago, and he's exactly like we were 5 weeks ago. Energy to burn, and the boys are really jumping on that. But the squad in general is in a really good spot. We've had a couple of great trainings, and we just want to get out there and play. I think the management have done a good job of balancing how much some people play, and holding some people back for the right times. And I know that must be a massive balancing act for them, but in general the team has some great energy, and everyone wants to get out there and get stuck in.
Thanks, Sam. Good luck.
Thanks,
Awesome, thanks.
Daniel. We'll move on to Ollie Ritchie next from News Hub.
Cool, thanks, Joe. Hey, Sam.
Hey, Ollie.
I hope you're well, mate. Just wondering if you could talk to the rivalry with Ireland, and how much do you think that has developed over the past few years, maybe since that first loss in Chicago?
Yeah, sorry mate, you're cutting out a little bit, but I got 90% of that. I think
Just on the rivalry with,
Cool.
with Ireland and how
Yep.
that's developed, yeah.
Yeah, I think that rivalry has been there for a long time. I know some of my first games I played against the Irish at home in New Zealand, and every year, those games were always tough, and sometimes the scoreboard never reflected that. I think of a game in Christchurch. I think DC hit a drop goal at the end to win it, and that's a long time ago, 8, 9 years ago. So I think it's always been there. Obviously, Chicago, everyone talks around, then losing here in Dublin a couple of years after that. Great teams always get up there and play well, and that's something for us to understand that there's always history, and we'll never be disappointed with what the Irish team bring. They're always going to bring the best game for us, because they want to go out there and beat us, as they do every team. And it's the same for us. We want to make sure we don't disappoint them with how we're playing. We want to make sure we're putting our best foot forward. And it's really easy to say that, and sometimes it's harder to go out there and actually do it. But I'm sure the effort will be there, and that's the first thing that we always expect as senior All Blacks. The effort's the first thing, and everything else falls in behind.
And just wonder if I could ask you about your Crusaders teammate Ethan Blackadder, who seems to just be more and more comfortable at Test level. Why do you think he's been able to make the jump from Super Rugby to international rugby so well?
Pretty easy. He's got a massive motor on him. He loves working hard, and I think he probably had a bit of a disrupted 4 or 5 years, had a couple of injuries at niggly times, and he's just putting some good games together and just playing the game he's probably always had, but people are just seeing it a bit more and recognising it because he's not been on the sideline or missing selection, etc. So I think he's been awesome. He's not too worried about all the fame and hype or anything that comes with it. He just wants to know what his job is and goes out there and does it. And really great guy to have in the team, and he's got a massive following with us as a team. Like, all the boys love getting around him and find out what he's been up to and how hard he's been working. So I'm sure the rest of the world's seeing that too.
Thanks, Sam.
Cheers.
Chris, Reed, jump in.
Thanks, Joe. Morning, Sam.
Morning.
Last week we saw Italy have quite a lot of success with the defensive line speed and the rush defense. I imagine Ireland saw that too, and they'll be planning around that. How do you best sort of counteract that early in the game and not let that weigh you down early?
Yeah, it's a great point you bring up. It's something that we've talked around, and we've got a few ideas that we can do. Sometimes it's we've actually got the right plan, but it's just executing the plan. But I think that's the beauty of playing Test match rugby week in, week out. Teams will come up with a formula. We're sitting here trying to think, right, if we were playing us, what would we do? Would it be A, B, C, etc.? And that's part of the game that I think a lot of our senior players and our management love, the whole chess game of it. And sometimes you can get carried away with it, and other times it's actually as simple as, right, what we're doing is good, but we just need to be better. And part of that is how we deal with teams, and we've got to adapt on the run. So some teams might be bringing heaps of line speed, for example. Other teams might be using the hold and push, but we've got to have things in our head to go to straight away, which will hopefully exploit what they're trying to do to us.
And just secondly, which one of your teammates had the honour of chopping the locks?
Pardon?
Which one of the teammates had the honour of chopping your locks?
Oh, my hair, sorry. No, we actually had a person coming in that was obviously fully tested and stuff. So, lined up with a few of the boys. Severis was giving me a bit of stick, saying that, you won't go short. So I thought, bugger it, I'll go short, and here we are.
Thanks, mate.
Cheers, thank you.
Cool, Aaron, jump in. Aaron Goyle.
I thought that was why Aaron Smith was taking over Sam for the hairdressing skills.
No, Aaron's a bit of a sook when it comes to hair cutting now. George Bauer's very good, and a couple of other boys, but Aaron's got a rule: if you've played over 25 test matches, he doesn't touch your hair. So he hasn't touched mine for a while. So I was probably one of the dummies when he was at school. Had a couple of shockers from him, but we won't go there now.
Outstanding. Just when you mentioned the atmosphere and how unique it is with being silent at goal kicking, Geordie hasn't played in Dublin, has he? So is there actually any preparation has anyone actually talked to him about that sort of atmosphere, or how does he prepare for that?
For myself, I've never had a shot at goal in my life, and I'm quite happy to keep it that way. Mate, the kickers are doing some amazing work throughout the week. They've got their systems and structures in place. They're just as good, I suppose, of people yelling and trying to heckle them as, if it's 100% quiet. So, that's something that I'm sure his big brothers talk to him around, but I'm sure he'll be fine out there kicking.
And just one on the point scoring records that you guys set last week in terms of calendar year with points, tries, conversions. Is that something that you're taking interest in, or any sort of sense of pride in, or is it something completely ignored? Are you looking to break that magic 100 for tries?
It's something that, for myself, I didn't actually know a lot of it until after the game, and someone said it, and I thought, that's actually really cool, and that's something that, as a team, when we actually talk around it, is actually quite cool. But the reality is, we're in the business of going out there, and we want to win every game. If some of those things come as well, that's really nice. But the reality is, as All Blacks, we go out there to win every game, and if we can score 100 tries, that'd be great. But the reality is, we'd rather take the wins than some of those other records.
Good as, thank you. Go well.
Cheers, thank you.
Joe Porter. Next.
Kia ora, Sam, how are you?
Kia ora, how are you? Yeah, good, thanks.
Hey, I was just wondering, as captain now, how you sort of get a gauge for how the team is feeling or tracking on a Friday or Saturday of the captain's run. Obviously, you've had, I'm thinking about 2019, the World Cup, that week before the Irish test, and how you just blew them out of the water. What was that feeling like, I guess, as compared to the following week against England? And do you get a gauge for it, and your feeling, and does it actually transmute into the game, how you feel the team is, or is it something that's kind of irrelevant and often the performance doesn't reflect how you feel on a captain's run?
Yeah, really interesting question. Going back to the World Cup stuff, it's really hard. Sometimes while we're in camp, we're here, you can't actually see it, but outside it's actually really easy to see. But while have been in camp, you can definitely tell when the boys are on at different aspects of the week. Obviously, reviews from a Monday definitely set up the thing, how boys are explaining things, how they're looking at reviewing it. And then obviously throughout the whole week, there's different times and stages. Normally the Thursday runs, probably the important one, where we're sitting there. But in saying that, we've had some outstanding Thursday trainings and probably not played as well as we should have, and then vice versa. But individually, I think it's always good to check yourself first, and it doesn't matter who you are, how long you've been around, whether you're a management player, etc. If you're doing everything you can to prepare, you've got to trust your mate to do the same, because you can't expect to do it for them. But yeah, really interesting question. I'd love to actually ask a few of the players and see what they think on that. But yeah, hopefully I've answered most of your question.
Yeah, very well. Thank you, Sam. Cheers, mate. Good luck.
Ollie, you got another one? Do you want to jump in?
Yeah, sorry, I just wanted to ask you, Sam, about that haka you guys got when you arrived at training this morning. I think they're called the Together Academy. What was that like? They looked pretty into it. That must have been a special time for you guys to get that upon arriving at training.
Yeah, it was really cool. By the time we all get off the bus, it's pretty full-on bus at the moment, not a lot of spare seats. But it's cool, we got off and one of their teachers, I think, explained, and there was one boy there, I think his name was Ben, and he was so excited, and you could see the excitement in his body language and in his voice. His dream is he wanted to go to New Zealand and learn to do the haka. And obviously at the moment, with the way the world is, it's not really possible. So they thought, well, what's the next best thing? And obviously we were in town, got in touch through Shandy, the manager, and stuff, and it all worked out that they could come in before our run today, and it was awesome. He was in the front, and the boys really enjoyed it, and you could see just the passion that they had for the haka. Some of them knew a lot around it, some of them were pretty new, but really, really special, and it's pretty cool, pretty humbling as a New Zealander being over here, even though they're all dressed in the Irish jerseys, for them to perform a haka for us.
Thanks, Ollie. Aaron, have you got another one to jump in, or you haven't taken your waving hand down? Oh, and you're on mute.
Oh, sorry, yeah, double shocker there. But no, I just did want to ask Sam, just on the possible COVID case in the Irish camp. Like, what sort of precautions or things? How does that change anything for you guys, if it does at all, in terms of prep?
For us, it doesn't change too much. Obviously, we're under our bubble protocol, which is the same for every team over here at the moment. What it potentially does change is a little bit around pre-game. I think we're going to meet the ref out on the field versus in a change room. So a couple of little things like that, but it's something that we've dealt with before, and you just got to roll with it a little bit. Once the whistle goes, it's a normal test match. The field's the same size, same amount of time, etc. So it's just something that we've just got to adapt with as it goes. I think the main thing, you just hope that the players, tested positive, that they're healthy and they don't get too sick and all those things. So it's something that we're aware of, and when we get more information we can tell the boys, but at the moment it's where it is.